Okay, we're gonna start streaming. The stream is starting, and we're gonna get going here in a few minutes. So I've had like one of these days, not a bad day. Well, it was a challenging day. So here's what happened. I was so excited because I had like a day where I could do a whole bunch of stuff. And then I got the day started. I booted up my TriCaster to work on something, and I said, you know what, let me upgrade it because I haven't updated the software in a while. They improved some of the streaming problems that we had. So I did that. I did the update. And then when it came back up, it didn't come up. It got like frozen. And then I noticed that all of my computers on their NDI clients, which is NewTek's awesome video networking thing, all of those didn't work either. Like they were crashing. It was crashing on Mac, on Windows. I installed it on like a fresh Windows thing. Crashed, crash. So as it turns out, and I went all day with this trying to figure out what was going on. I'm unplugging switches. I'm resetting everything because this works all, like the NDI stuff and the TriCaster for that matter, always works. Never a problem. I mean, it's rare that I have a day of nothing happening because of tech problems, and this was like one of those days. So I finally just said, you know what, I'm just gonna swap the router out. And I got in, a while ago, I got in the Dream Machine router from Unify, and I've been meaning to hook it up because, the audio's messed up again. I guess they didn't fix that. Hang on a second, everybody. Okay, that should fix the audio. Okay, so let me know if the audio's fixed there. So that was one of the problems that I hoped upgrading this thing would fix, and it didn't fix it. So it looks like we're back to the drawing board there. Anyway, let me finish the story here, and then we'll get going because we got a 8 p.m. start time on the Amazon homepage. So what ended up happening was I swapped out the router for that Unify one. And the reason why I'm excited about the Unify router is that I can finally set up like a bunch of VLANs on the network here because I want to because right now my network is a big blob of everything. And I want to take all of my IoT stuff and just pull it off the network that's on with everything else. So the light bulbs, the switches, all that stuff. I'm going to put it on its own network, isolate everything, and that'll be it. And I've been meaning to do that. In fact, I've had the router since like Thanksgiving. I just never got around to hooking it up. And finally, just in exasperation, because nothing was working today, I said, you know what? I'm just going to swap out that router. And I just pulled the other one out and hooked up this one, and poof, it all worked again, which is great. So the next step is to do the VLAN thing now that it's hooked up and operating. But in the course of all this troubleshooting, I upgraded this is how long my day has been. I upgraded the firmware on all of my Unify access points, and then the controller that was running those access points, it's a software thing they make you install. I had to install that, upgrade that too, to upgrade the access points. So when I upgraded the controller on the software that I was running on the computer, it then put it a version ahead of what they have installed on their new router. So now I got to wait for the next firmware update on that thing to be able. So this is the kind of day I had. But the good news is that I had to get it working for 8 p.m. this evening because we got the live stream that goes on Amazon's homepage tonight. And wouldn't you know, it's all working now again, which is great. However, I have a feeling that there is a device out there on my network that once its DHCP lease renews is going to come on and blow everything up again. And what I think happened with my my NDI problem is that the NDI system uses MDNS to propagate itself and to get recognized on the network because it's very much like Apple's Bonjour protocol, which is that when you load up an NDI client, it goes out and it finds all the NDI things on the network. And I have a feeling that whenever this thing that caused the problem gets its lease renewed, it's going to blow up everything again. So we'll have to see how this works. But so we'll see how it goes. In any event, let me say hello to some people, and then we're going to play with. Here, I'll show you the overhead view here. This is the Muse S, the brain sensing headband, and I am sure that this is not going to be all that. Well, maybe it will be entertaining watching me play around with it. And then the other thing I'm going to play around with a little bit tonight, because I didn't get a chance to do that much with it today, is this new camera from Mevo. And this you can't buy yet, but they sent me one ahead of time. And this is a streaming camera. It does everything inside this little package. It's got a battery, it's got all the guts to stream, and this is where the NDI discussion comes into play. It supports NDI. So you can use this with OBS on your network, and you don't have to plug it into your computer. It will stream wirelessly with the NDI protocol through your TriCaster or to OBS or whatever. And it's kind of a cool thing. And it does what the other Mevo camera does, is that you can set up different zones in its field of vision, and it can kind of pan in between or cut in between people's faces as they're talking. So it's got all the smarts of the other Mevo cam, but it's self-contained. And it's got a 4-hour battery actually on it too. And it's USB-C, so you can just plug it into a battery if you want and just let it rip. And then it can also record to an SD card while it's streaming too. Pretty slick. So we'll play around with this a little bit depending on how much time we have. So that is going to be part 2. And we'll remind people of these things as we're going through the stream. So in full disclosure, the Muse S here I got in from the Amazon Vine program free of charge. However, they are not reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it gets uploaded. And I think if they watched me playing with this, they probably wouldn't approve of how it probably will look. So that's where that came from. And the Mevo, they sent us free of charge. And we'll be, like I said, digging into this a bit too. So that is how it's going to work. And I got to just kind of stretch it out a little bit because we got a 8 p.m. start time on the Amazon homepage. So I like to get started early, because if something goes awry, we'll know it before it starts. So what I'm going to do now is just start the Amazon stream and get going over there. And if you want to watch on Amazon, you can click the link in the description. I think I fixed that earlier to the right link. So you can head over to Amazon and watch it there and see how much this thing costs. It's like $350. Oh my goodness. So what this does apparently, I'm not going to unbox it till we hit 8 o'clock. What this does apparently is it monitors your brain waves and heart rate, and it tries to teach you to meditate. So we'll be demoing like how to set it up and use it, but I don't think I'll be able to get a good feel of this until I start my meditation. And I haven't meditated before. I hear though it's a really good thing to do, and it might help me. So I think we might meditate a bit. So I'm a little punchy tonight just because I've been struggling with technology all day today. And it's rare that I struggle with stuff because, like I said, things have just been working here I haven't had a day like this in probably 2 years where everything was broken. But now everything is working again. All right, so who do we have in chat? Let me just go pull up the live chat here and say hello to some folks. So B. Tabalba's here, Tony Eden, the Tachyon. And I appreciate everybody letting me know about the audio sync. Sometimes it works fine, other times it doesn't. David H. is here, Chad Stevenson, Todd Lee, Jonathan Danforth, and Joel McKinney, and John Scanlon. And Jonathan's talking about getting his stuff on the VLAN and getting Echoes to talk to it all. Yes, there's going to be some learning curves here to getting this whole VLAN thing working. So what I'm going to do, and I guess it depends on the device also, because if you've got, for example, something that relies on the local network, then you're going to have an issue piercing the VLAN over to the regular LAN, to your main LAN. So the stuff I'm going to put on the VLAN are things like my Wise bulbs, the cameras, everything that I can access over the internet is going to go on the VLAN, and we'll actually be hitting it kind of from outside back in. So that's the plan. But we'll see how it all works when I try to put it together. But this Dream Machine that came in from Unify is really nice. It's a router, but they put all the stuff from their other separate components in it. So you get, it's got a controller built in. If you ever played around with Unify, you have to have a software controller, but they install the controller on the unit itself. So you don't have to have a separate thing running. It runs on it. You get a wireless access point, a 4x4 AC radio. So that's in there. It doesn't have Wi-Fi 6, but it's fine. So you've got that built in. You've got a 4-port smart switch with a VLAN capability on it. So you got that. And it'll work really well. It actually integrates your Unify access points into the mix. So what we should be able to do is actually have those access points serving two different VLANs with different SSIDs, even though it's the same unit going through the same cable. That's the plan, so I hear. And there's a lot of good videos out there for making it work. So we'll try it out. And Chad Stevenson says that's the bane of our existence, and it likely will be. Ed E is here, and Luis Rosario Tejada is here. Wanted to know if I tried the new VR game of The Walking Dead. I haven't tried it, and I think it might freak me out. You know what's funny is, and maybe it's my age speaking, but I am not into these like really violent VR games, and I think what it is that I get nervous about recreating the movement, and you know what I mean, like, because these guys come at you and you're like slashing them up with knives and stuff, and I don't, you know, look, I'm sure most people are not going to do anything with that, but for me, it just doesn't entertain me. So I like the funnier VR stuff. So I probably won't try the Walking Dead one, but I am going to try the Half-Life one when it comes out. That looks pretty fun. Spuds is here. Hello. Tachyon says a yoga brain scanner. Yeah, this is definitely a little outside my usual coverage area, but I saw these at CES, and I've long been fascinated with how the brain works, and I like devices that can measure your biology in new and interesting ways, and this is something that I find intriguing. So I see this as something more of a sleep monitor for me. Although I've been here, you know, I have friends that are into meditating, and I've been following some folks who are really, you know, who used to laugh at it and then got into it. So I think it's something that you should all think about, because it's something I think that could be beneficial, especially if you can find a time to just get your head clear. And I guess what this does is, as your brain enters that state, it'll tell you when you've reached that point, and I think it can help you train yourself to do that. But I'm not going to come into this with any kind of bias, but I've been reading that some folks are having a hard time getting it to read the brain waves effectively. So we'll see how that works. My friend Doug Hardy is here. He's eager to see the Mevo. So Doug, what I've seen with this so far is that it largely mirrors the other one that you have, but it's in a smaller unit. So it has all the same features, and the only additional feature from a usability standpoint is the NDI capability. So if you have an existing Mevo, I think you probably don't need this one. But they are going to have a multi-camera option where you can have multiple Mevos feeding into your phone, which I think will be pretty interesting. So we are almost at 8 o'clock here, everybody. So once we hit the 8 o'clock hour, we will unbox the brain sensing headband and see how it all works. And I got to figure out how to, I might do the Android app and have my Pixel phone here do it, because I have to have my iPhone running the Amazon Stream stuff. And I'm just going to check on Amazon and make sure I am live, because this was my assigned time this evening, was 8 o'clock. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get started here in a second. It's amazing. We get a lot of views on Amazon, especially when we do these evening streams, because they put us right on the homepage, which is totally awesome. And it usually starts up pretty soon. I think we're going. Yep, there we go. So we're on there. So if you go to Amazon.com right now on the homepage and scroll down a little bit, you should see me on there. So it's cool. All right. So let me go over here and we'll start unboxing this thing. And Doug, in regards to the multi-camera, that feature is not operating yet. So when it does come online, we'll definitely try it. And actually, maybe we'll have you come over with your camera, because I have another Mevo, and you have one, and I've got this new one, so we could try it with a third camera there. All right, so here is the unboxing experience. So we have a band and a pod, and you would think maybe there would be a little bit of some guidance as to which one you should unbox first. Maybe we'll do the band first, because I'm guessing the pod must connect to the band. And hopefully they have a battery in there. So let's see what it looks like here. So this is the band. And we'll pull this thing out of here and get this going. And you know what's interesting too about these things is that they often want you to just go on their app to get everything working. So here's what it feels like. Is this like tape or something? Huh? Let's see. So my first reaction is, do I peel this off? But I don't think that's what you do. So it's got like this this tape on here, which I'm guessing is what it's reading your brain waves with, and that's probably feeding into this part here. So it looks like I wonder if this is washable. All right, let's get in a little bit further here and see what's next. So this is the band. And it's like it feels like a sweatband, and it's got a clip here. Oh, it's magnetic. That's kind of nice. It's got a pretty strong magnet on there too. Pretty neat. And Luis Rosado says, so maybe one day Elon Musk will sell a device like the one you're opening. Yes, so he's actually, I don't know if you've all been following what he's been doing, but he's an investor in a company that is developing a human brain interface. And it's kind of frightening because they surgically implant these tendrils in your brain. I don't think they've done it to a human yet, but they're working on animals right now. And that's the plan, is to like have it connect to your brain directly. So get ready, folks. All right, so we assemble the pod into the Fuse music band and then turn on the pod. Charge pod if lights do not come on. And then we have to download the Muse meditation app. So we'll see where it goes here. So Tony Eden, by the way, saw us on Amazon. You can leave some comments there too if you'd like. So this is the pod, which I guess is the business end of everything. So it looks like there is an optical sensor here. So what it does in addition to the brain stuff is that it also measures your heart rate. So I'm guessing that optical sensor is a heart rate sensor. So, and it just snaps in like that, and that's it. So that's magnetic also. All right. Makes sense. Okay, so now so I guess you got to turn this thing on. So how do you turn it on? There's a switch here at the top. So I guess there's a light that should come on when you hit the button. And it looks like the light is on. Okay, so it's coming on. All right, so we got that going. And I think what I'll do here for the sake of demonstration is get my Android phone here booted up. So we'll check that out and see how it all comes together here. Hopefully there's some battery left in this thing. There it goes. So we'll let that load up, and that'll be a good way to test the Android capabilities. So I'll probably have a review of this soon on my main channel and see what happens. Yeah, so if you want to learn more about the Elon Musk thing, do a search for like Elon Musk brain human interface. There you'll see a presentation that he did of what this is all about. And they're actually pretty far along with this. It's not, it's not some pie in the sky thing. Oh, well, I guess it kind of is. But yeah, if you really want to interface with this, you're going to have to hook your brain up to the computer. So that's how they're going to do it. We have somebody testing a message on Amazon. I got it, so that's working. Chad Stevenson says, it looks like Skynet is on the horizon. It might be the case. And Adrian says he's ready to, I wish I had more resources, because this could be the best live stream ever, where we're testing this thing and suddenly I turn into it turns into a Black Mirror episode. We should totally do that. I will try to come up with some way to do that. I know creative people. I am not one of, well, I can be creative, but not that creative. So this is what it looks like. It doesn't really suit me, but we'll see how it goes. So Nate's saying that, wants to know if I can read his mind with it. I can't read your mind, but when we're done tonight, you'll all have read mine. How about that? That should be kind of fun. All right, so I'm just going to get into my phone here, and we'll get the ball rolling. And the first thing I have to do is download the app. And the app is called the Muse Meditation app. So I'm going to try to find that on the Android phone here. And there's some legal information on here. So let me go into the phone. I'm going to put it on Do Not Disturb here too. And of course, as I'm doing this, they have a system update on the phone, but we're not going to install that at the moment. But we'll get into the app here, and then we'll see how this whole thing works. So it's pretty lightweight. I could see sleeping in this. It doesn't feel all that uncomfortable. It's a very soft fabric, and it looks like it's got some charge here. Hopefully it has enough. And I'm going to do a search now for the Muse meditation. assistant. I think that's what they wanted me to get, right? The Muse meditation. Oh, see, this is the problem that I have with some of these things, is that they tell me to download the Muse meditation app, but this one is the Muse meditation assistant. So let me go back and just make sure that I've got the right one here. Muse meditation. Because this is how people end up getting confused and sometimes not hacked, but bad things happen when you don't accurately describe. They should just call it Muse meditation app as opposed to the assistant, because they don't put a barcode on here. So like the best thing to do would have been to put the QR code, because the iPhone now reads the QR codes on the camera app automatically too. Spud says, it looks like Jordy's visor. I need that one of those banana clips. You know, it's funny because when that show first came out, they had these hair clips called banana clips, and they looked, I think they probably were what they ended up using for his costume. So there was often a lot of jokes about that. All right, let's see what some other folks are saying here. Tachyon says, this is how the Illuminati will control us, and all the other devices he showed us will move your muscles. Yeah, that's right. So if you go on, you should go do a search for, if you're on Amazon, Backyard Brains. They have a device, and it's an app, and it's a hardware device, where you can hook up your arm to somebody else's arm, and they can move your arm with theirs. And you would think, how is that possible? There's no way. I tried it. It was done to me. It's real. And if you go on Amazon and look for Backyard Brains, just type it in right now and watch the video. You'll see how it works. It was crazy. And it was not like they were controlling it accurately. It was more like a twitchy thing. But as she moved her arm, my arm would do the same thing. And it gives you an idea as to like how you could conceivably have something that could read a thought and then execute it in some way. And what they do is they read the nerve impulses on the arm for the muscles of the arm, and then it translates those movements to the app, and then the app sends it over to the other side of itself, and that's what makes your arms move. So it basically receives the signal and then pushes it back out. It actually uses an electrical signal to stimulate your muscles and have your arm kind of twitch. It's wild. They have stuff there on Backyard Brains. You can control, they have a kit where you can control insects. I kid you not. Backyard Brains, look it up. It's crazy. So this stuff is it's all happening. So bear with me, folks. I have to get an account now with them. So let me do that real quick. And then we will get started with the Muse. I'm going to put my test account on this one because I don't know much about these folks. And we'll get this going. Tony Eden says, it looks like it might fall off my head when I toss and turn. I think we'll see if we can tighten it. Yeah, there is a way to tighten it here. So you've got a little thing here to tighten it up, because I'm going to have to tighten it also. But if you got a big head, I think you'll be okay. Yeah, so we should be able to get that to work. Okay. All right, sorry, folks. I have to give it all of this information here. All right, it wants to know what does it want? What's my birthday? All right, hang on, folks. You know what's funny? I used to be really excited for birthdays, and now it's just like, what? How old am I now? There's no milestones left. Yeah, I had you could turn 18, you could vote, you can drive, all that stuff. All right, so now I'll just show you what it's asking me here. So it is asking me my handedness. I will say I am right-handed. It wants to know my gender. I am male. And I'll click continue. And then it wants to know my region. I'm in North America. Remember me. I'm not going to opt in for its special offers. And we'll hit done there. All right, so let's swipe to continue. Okay. Swipe to select. Okay, so all right, so now it's got this thing here. You know, what's funny is I was expecting more of an onboarding, because it's like, okay, you're ready to go, but I don't think it asked me to pair up my device with it or anything, unless it's already done that. Let's see. Tell you what, folks, it hasn't found the device yet. Let's see. Let's go back to meditate. So if I start sessions, looks like the app installed itself. Okay, here we go. I don't think they need to know my location. Okay, so we're going to have it searched for the Muse device. Looks like it turned itself off. I got to tell you though, there's like no onboarding here. It's just like, okay, here's the app and here's some meditation and you're like on your own. Like there's no instructions to, you know, you'd think for a little bit of a kind of a pricey item that they would have. All right, and now we're doing the pairing. And we got, this kind of reminds me of Knight Rider here. That's what everyone else is saying too. All right, we'll let it keep going here. Hukuru-san is here, welcome. Robin De Bruin is here. Avaron Danon is here from Israel, welcome. We got people from all over the world that watch us, which is great. And sometimes it's like watching paint dry. I bet you I got to hold down the button here to put it into pairing mode. What do you think? Let's see. It just turned itself off. I got to tell you, folks, I am not pleased with the onboarding here. This is not a good experience. So let's see, problems connecting. We have a Muse S. Look at the power button. I have a Muse S. And then we're going to go to, my goodness. I got to play a video? Come on. Seriously? Very important. There are multiple different models of the Muse headset, which minor Bluetooth differences. Okay, let's just play the video. Let's see what we can get out of this.
Plug the micro USB port into a typical cell phone charging block. Then
All right.
into the back of Muse.
We'll let that play out and see where it goes.
If your Muse has gray writing on the side of it, like this, please visit choosemuse.com/connection for steps to connect this version. For any other version of Muse, continue to follow these.
Okay, so we have the right video, folks. We can keep watching.
Please ensure
All right.
Bluetooth is enabled on your phone or tablet. You do not need to pair your Muse.
Really?
Enter the Muse application, and Muse will connect directly with your device.
Is that so?
After creating your account,
All right, so let me check. Maybe I have Bluetooth off? I don't think I turned Bluetooth off on this.
stand icon in the
All right, let's try this again here. Let's go back to my, yeah, Bluetooth is on. And the thing is on, it's like pulsating here. All right, let's go back in. Okay, got it. So hit the button here. I understand. I wonder if it needs to know my location. Oh my, so remember I said no to the location? So apparently if you don't give it your location, it won't find the device. What the heck is that all about? All right, we'll hit OK here. But you know, like the app should guide you here because, all right, so now we've got like how to wear it. Okay, so we should probably watch this. But this should all happen when it boots up. It should say like, hey, do you have a headset? Okay.
To a deeper understanding of yourself and your meditation practice through powerful real-time feedback. It is important that your Muse S is fitted properly to ensure the sensors have strong signal quality. Power your
And Crystal Franks is here. Hello.
device to the Muse app. Ensure the Muse logo is right side up.
Okay.
You fit your Muse. Place the Muse S on your upper forehead.
Okay.
Centered. And
Pod
fasten
centered.
the clip behind your head.
Okay.
Be careful not to stretch the band near the sensors, as this can damage the sensors. It is important that both ear sensors make direct contact with the skin behind your ears.
Okay.
Remove any hair behind your ears as you adjust fit to ensure strong signal quality.
No hair behind your ears.
Adjust your Muse a few times to get it right.
Okay.
Give the signal time to settle after you find a solid fit. Take a deep breath, relax, and let Muse help guide you to a restful sleep.
All right, let's go. By the way, I am totally sleeping with this thing on my head tonight. I'm putting it to the test, and we'll see how it all works. All right, so it's on my head now, and I want to read my brain waves here. So how do we do it? Okay, see. All right, so let's just see what it wants me to do.
headband.
This is totally out of Black Mirror, isn't it?
Before every session, this circle will show you if you're wearing your headband correctly. The headband status indicator in the middle gives you an easy way to understand if Muse is sensing your brain. The better you fit the headband, the better signal you'll get, and the more accurate and responsive Muse will be. As the sections of the headband status indicator fill in, color will start to flow. The more color you see, the better your signal quality. The black section corresponds to 3 baseline sensors.
I got a 2 up now.
On the center of the headband. These sensors establish a baseline of your brain's activity. The other sensors depend on the baseline sensors, so if they lose contact with the skin on your forehead, your headband needs to be adjusted for a better fit. Each of the 4 colored sections corresponds to one of the sensors that picks up your brain signals. There are 2 on the forehead and 2 rubber sensors behind the ears. When a section is filled in and color is flowing, you know that the sensor it corresponds to has good contact with your skin and is getting good signal. When a section has a colored outline, relax and sit still, and the signal should settle down. If it doesn't, adjust the headband for a better fit. When you see all 5 sections filled in, you know Muse is sensing your brain. If you haven't already, try the headband on now. To fit the headband correctly, expand it to its largest size, place the rubber ear sensors behind your ears, then tighten the headband back up for a snug fit.
Resistance is futile, Mr. Nate.
The headband should run across the middle of your forehead. Not too high, not too low. It's important that there is no hair between the sensors and your skin. Check to make sure that your hair is out of the way, especially around your ears. If you have longer hair, a hair tie may help. You may need to adjust the headband a few times to find the right fit. After each adjustment, take your hands off the headband, relax, and wait for the sensors to pick up the signal. This can take up to a minute, so be patient. Try to get as much of the rubber ear sensors touching your ears as possible. They are designed to hook around the back of your ears to maximize contact. Muscle tension and eye movements can cause noise in the signal. If the sensors are having trouble picking up the signal, try keeping your face and jaw.
This seems really
relaxed,
complicated.
or even closing your eyes. Makeup, moisturizers, and the natural buildup of oils on your skin can block the
Oh my
sensors.
gosh.
Wiping your skin with a damp cloth may improve your signal.
So wash your face, everybody.
Dry skin can prevent the sensors from picking up the signal. Wiping the sensors with a damp cloth or a finger dipped in water can provide just enough moisture for the sensors to pick up the signal. Everyone's head is different, so take some time now to find a comfortable fit that gets good signal. Over time, you'll discover your own way to quickly fit the headband.
Okay, so I think I got all that. So what am I, is this the actual thing I'm seeing here, or is this like a demo? I guess that is the actual thing. All right. So what am I think I got like a signal for everything, right? Or am I just seeing a demo? I don't know what I'm looking at. There was so many instructions that, all right, let's just go through the rest of this. Okay. Let me start the session here. Do we have to watch that again?
Welcome to your first session with Muse.
Oh, come on.
The brain sensing headband. Before every session, this circle will show you if you're wearing your headband correctly. The headband status indicator in the middle gives you an easy
I gotta tell you, this is
way to
like
understand if Muse is sensing your brain.
a horrible
The better you
onboarding.
fit the headband, the better signal you'll get, and the more accurate and responsive Muse will be. As the sections of the headband status indicator fill in,
Okay, how do we get
color
through
will
this now?
start to
I already
flow.
listened to all this. I know what I'm doing
The more
here.
color you see, the better your signal quality.
The more color, okay.
The black section corresponds to 3 baseline sensors on the center of the headband.
Okay.
These sensors establish a baseline of your brain's activity. The other sensors depend on the baseline sensors.
Oh, somebody said it was upside down? It is upside down, thank you. All right, let's try this again.
For a better fit. Each Each of the 4 colored sections corresponds to one
There
of
we
the
go.
sensors that picks up your brain signals.
I think we're good now.
There are 2 on the forehead and 2 rubber sensors
All right,
behind
so
the
we got it.
ears. When a section is filled in
And
colored
Save Us
is
2 on, thank you for the
you know
super
that
chat
the sensor it
contribution.
corresponds to has good contact with your skin.
See, what I don't know
and is getting
though
good signal.
is what I'm looking at. Like, am I looking at the
Section is
actual?
colored outline,
I guess it's giving me the
hold
demo
sensor
still.
and the signal should settle down. If it doesn't, adjust the headband for a better fit.
Okay.
When you see all 5 sections filled in, you know Muse is sensing your brain.
I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit here.
If you haven't already, try the headband on now.
There we
To
go.
fit the headband
Okay.
correctly, expand it to its largest size, place the rubber ear sensors behind your ears, then tighten the headband back up for a snug fit.
Okay.
The headband should run across the middle of your forehead. Not too high, not too low. It's important that there is
Oh. Reconnect. Select your
You
head.
may need to adjust the headband
Okay,
a
there
few
we go.
times to find the right fit.
Oh, look at that.
After each adjustment, take your hands off the headband, relax, and wait for the sensors to pick up the
Yeah, I wonder if I got a good signal now. Look at that. I guess it's all.
This can take up to a minute, so be patient.
All right.
Try to get as much of the rubber ear sensors touching your ears as possible. They are designed to hook around the back of your ears to maximize contact.
Okay.
Muscle tension and eye movements can cause noise in the signal. If the sensors are having trouble picking up the signal, try keeping your face and jaw relaxed or even closing your eyes. Makeup, moisturizers, and the natural buildup of oils on your skin can block the sensors. Wiping your skin with a damp
Okay.
cloth may improve your signal. Dry skin can prevent the sensors from picking up the signal. Wiping the sensors
All
with
right,
a damp
here we go,
cloth
folks.
or a finger dipped in water can provide just enough
And
moisture
Amazon
for the
customer
sensors
says
to
hello. I
pick up
got
the
2
signal.
highs and a hello on the Amazon side. Hello, everybody.
Everyone's head is different, so take some time now to find a comfortable fit that gets good signal. Over time, you'll discover your own way
So
to
I'm
connect with
assuming
your
that
brain.
we're looking at
Muse is
my
sensing
actual
your
signal
brain.
strength here.
As you've probably
Okay.
gathered
Oh, there.
by
I see. Now I got it.
Muse
Okay.
is very sensitive. Try clenching your teeth, moving your head, and blinking. See how it affects your signal? That's because movement and tension generate
There it
a
goes.
lot
Yeah.
of noise,
Look at that.
making your brain signals hard to detect.
So you really have to get into a meditative state for this thing to
Now
even
that
to
you
work.
have good
Okay.
signal quality, Muse will calibrate itself by taking a snapshot of your brain in a natural state. This snapshot will be used as a reference to help Muse understand your brain signals.
All right.
Muse will take less than a minute to calibrate, then your session will begin. You won't need to look at the screen during this calibration, so feel free to put your device down within reach or rest it in your hands. Find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Allow your back to be straight and relax your shoulders. Take a deep breath.
All right.
As you exhale, let go of any tension you might be holding in your face and jaw.
I have to keep touching the phone because I'm afraid it's going to put
Once
itself
you're
to sleep.
comfortable, try not to move too much and keep your eyes closed. Muscle tension and eye movements can interfere with signal quality.
All right. Tell you, I might just fall asleep doing this.
Muse is now listening to your brain signals. Relax and let your mind flow naturally. Accept whatever you experience from moment to moment.
Okay, my brain has been sensed.
It's time to begin. You're about to use real-time feedback to guide your mind into the present moment. This can feel very different from our usual tendency to think or worry about the past or the future. This might sound a bit new, but don't worry. It's all about being playful. The best way
I think
to
the
start
app
a
should,
meditation
because
practice
at
with
least on the
Muse
iPhone,
is
the
to
apps
take
can
a
force the
lightly
screen to
and
stay on and not
works
go
for
to
you.
sleep.
While you do a simple meditation exercise, the weather in this environment will reflect what's happening in your brain.
Oh, geez.
As your
All right.
brain changes, the weather will change in real time. When you're focused on your breath, Muse will detect steady and constant brain signals and translate them into calm and peaceful weather, like this. If you're especially calm, you may even hear a few birds singing. Eventually, you will become distracted and your mind will wander. When your focus shifts away from the exercise, Muse will detect fluctuations and changes in your brain signals, and you'll hear the weather get more intense, like this. Your goal is to try and calm and settle the weather in this environment. Sometimes it'll seem easy, and sometimes it will be hard. But one thing is always true. Just by setting aside a bit of time to meditate every day, you're building your mind's ability to calm itself. Tap the button when you're ready to try Muse.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
You won't need to look at the screen during this exercise,
Okay.
so feel free to put your device down within reach or rest it in your hands.
All right.
When you're ready, sit in a comfortable position. Allow your back to be straight and relax your shoulders. Close your eyes. Settle in. Take a few moments to relax by becoming aware that you are breathing. No need to change your breathing. Your body knows how to breathe. During this session, do your best to keep your attention focused on your breath, wherever you feel it most clearly. You might feel it in your stomach, chest, or nose. When the weather gets intense and you notice that your mind has wandered, don't worry. Just come back to your breath without judging how you're doing. Ready? Place your attention on your breath now.
I'm gonna make it storm. Okay, ready? Here we go. It might be hard to do this in the middle of a live stream. That could be part of the problem. Let's see. Here we go. Ready? I'm gonna try it again. I can see though this could be useful if you can get yourself. I like that it has a different. You're not looking at waves on the screen. That you've actually got some feedback as to what your mental state is. So let's try this again. All right, here we go. Ready? And what I'm noticing with this, and I think this is partly because it has the heart rate sensor in there. I'm wondering if, because I noticed when I started doing the breathing, is when it started to slow down with the rain. And I wonder if it's looking at the breathing in addition to what it's getting from the head. The good news is though that the sensor seems to be, for me at least, is working fine. Because I was reading a lot of people who were complaining about the sensor not aligning itself properly. But here it looks like it's doing pretty nicely. I'm going to let this run through. What I'm curious about is whether or not this has a way to look at the waves. I'd like to actually see the data because I'm a tech guy, and that's what I want to see that. We have some questions from the Amazon thing here. Curtis Krug wants to know what phone I have. This is a Google Pixel 3a, a nice mid-range phone. Amazon customer says, I'm immediately wondering why this is $350. And I think this is going to be something, so I'll probably review this on the channel a little later. This is something that to really review it properly, I should not be in front of a camera streaming to 100 people or more. But I wanted to get a feel for it and kind of get the setup going. And I think the setup was not the best, because I would have preferred, well, a couple things. First is that my gut reaction on anything that asks for my location is to say no. By the way, I'm getting the birds singing because I'm focused on all of you. But my gut reaction is to say no to the location settings, because I don't like giving out my location to companies if they don't need to know where I am. Like, why do you need to know where I am to install this? But apparently that was needed to get the thing to detect itself. I think the onboarding, once you figure out how to add the headset, was good. And I'm very pleased with how the sensors, I mean, I just put it on. When I got it on, not upside down, it actually seems to be keeping a good signal here. I'm not seeing those colors change, so that's good. I just don't know what it's reading. You know what I mean? Because we were getting birds singing while I was talking to all of you, for example. So I don't know how much is what's brainwave versus movement, right? So that's my question. John Moshi said, it looks like I'm a lookalike from a character of 16 Candles, the movie. Remember the gymnasium dance? I hate to say this, I've never watched that movie before. So we'll have to check it out. So let me wait for this timer to run down here. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what it's reading. And I'd love to figure out if there's a way that we could, have things trigger me and see that on a chart somewhere. Okay, so all right, here we go. We can skip to the results. Let's see how we did. Reflect on how your brain, okay. So I was active. It said I did a good job though. So let me give you a better view of the phone here. Okay, so let's click next here. Oh, I see. So it's telling me the different things that I was in. All right, and it looks like, oh, I see. So it's giving me, so it says I was neutral and calm for a bulk of that. Interesting. And I will say, I am calm right now. I'm not, but this is kind of a chart of the whole time. And what's interesting is I was talking to all of you right around here, right? Or maybe that, yeah, it's hard to say because this was like a 5-minute thing. All right, so let's save this because I'm going to go back and look at these things. What is this? I want to send somebody $30? No, I'm going to send anybody $30. Okay, so meditations. All right, so how do I get like my data? I just want to see some data here. And I'm actually more confident that it'll be able to measure some of my sleep activity. As you can see, okay, so I have complete a go-to-sleep session with a Muse S device. That's what I have. Okay, here we go. Go to sleep. So apparently if the Muse S has the sleeping stuff, and we can get an introduction to go to sleep. There's also a lavender field visualization. So let's see all these journeys they have. Cultivate inner compassion, a beach walk, gentle river. I might have some fun just playing around with this to see how. See, what's funny is now that I have children, I have no problem going to sleep anymore. Because by the time 8 o'clock rolls around, like I'm done. It's like 8:30. That's why I'm so calm on this thing. Is like the kids, they just wear you out, Let's see. Let's cultivate inner compassion. Let's see what that's about. I get to download. Okay, so let's download. All right, so Chrissy Carter is going to, all right. And it looks like it's doing a sensor check. And I'm pleased, actually. Like I said, I'm pleased with the sensor. I'm not having any problems with the sensors. All right. Hey, Randman is here. I am doing well.
Wherever you are, and pause.
Okay. And you can, oh, I see, you can have the soundscape be more of a...
Comfortable seat for your practice. Settle in. Close your eyes.
What is that thing on YouTube everybody's talking about? The
And begin to watch your breath. The body feels what you feel, and so you may notice a feeling of heaviness within yourself.
all right, so I'm not getting any readings on here.
It
So,
can come with sadness.
so it's playing some music right now. All right, let me go end this session real quick. Let's skip how I feel. So it said my mind was calm the whole time. I mean, we weren't obviously in there for that long. But I mean, I am relatively calm right now, so I'm guessing that that's what's going on here. So I would just love to see it, though, reading out in real time if there's a way to do that. ASMR, B. Tababa, yes. That's what I was thinking about. There's a real market for that. All right, so, oops, let me just go back into it real quick. I'm going to play around with this a little bit more because it's not, I mean, it seems like it's working from the standpoint of the sensors. Like it's reading, you know, I'm not struggling to try to get this thing to fit properly, and that's good. But again, I was thinking that you'd get more access to the data because that's something that I would like to see more of. So we have meditate and go to sleep are the two functions that it can do. There's also beach, city park, and ambient music. I would love there to be like the coffee shop, like a bustling. I would love to take a nap in a coffee shop one day. That'd be kind of fun. All right, so let's do the beach. I have a beach not far from me. All right, so exercise. Oh, there's different exercises you can do. So let's see what we have here. So we have Muse Essentials, which are the core practices. Heart-centered mindfulness. Shift your attention towards heartfelt qualities of mindfulness. We also have Deepak Guides Muse from Deepak Chopra. And then we have Mindful Life. Learn practical mindfulness skills. Let's see what this one is. Okay. Huh. All right, so we have Mapping the Wandering Mind. We have Checking Out Familiar Situations. Just sit with it. What's that one all about? Let's try that. And Deeper Connections with People. Yeah. Let's try that one. Maybe it's still downloading. All right, I got to play with this a little bit more. I do want to show you the other thing before we close out here, but I'm going to add a couple of things here to the product carousel on Amazon. So we're going to take a look in a minute at the Mevo, which might be a little more interesting to my friends in tech here. And I'm going to add if you're on the Amazon stream, I'm going to add a different camera to the mix than what you're seeing here. But it's the same concept, just to give you a sense of that. All right, so we're gonna, I need to play around with this a bit more. And in order to do this, I've got to be in a better state of mind. However, initial impression is that it isn't difficult to get it on your head. And I was reading, you know, there's people on the reviews we're having a lot of trouble getting the sensors aligned, but I did not have that problem. So the next thing here is to try this out I'm going to probably try it over the course of a couple of weeks and see if I can improve my scores a little bit and see where it goes from there. Believe it or not, like I am not a stressed out person, so I'm not like, I don't feel like I need to meditate, but I'm going to try it because maybe it will help me. We'll see. So we're going to keep playing with this, but it's not, I don't think it's, I'm pleased. I was thinking that it was going to be something that wouldn't work right and would take forever to get set up. I think the onboarding could be a little better, but overall, I think it might actually help folks. And you know what? If anything can help people get into a meditative state, then I think it's a good thing. And that might be a way to help train yourself there. Okay, so I'm just going to download the app for the Mevo just because my camera, or my phone that I was using it with before, is occupied here. So let me do that real quick, and we'll get the Mevo app installed on here. And I've got to grab the beta of the Mevo app. So I'm just going to pop into my email real quick and retrieve that. And so if you haven't seen the Mevo camera before, you should head over to Amazon, and I've got a link on there right now that you can check it out, and I'll show you exactly how it works here in a second. Now the first thing I'm going to do, again, is just grab the app for my Android phone here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to jump back and forth to the Amazon. See, my fear is that if I leave the Amazon app, it's going to close out the Amazon stream, so I'm going to just do the other thing here. So let me go grab the app real quick on the phone, and you'll get a feel for this. So what's cool about these cameras is that they are self-contained streamers. And what that means is that you could stream to YouTube or to Amazon like I'm doing now, or you could stream out to Twitch or any of the other services that you can use. It's RTMP compatible, so it'll work with other services as well. So pretty much anything that you can stream to with the camera. Now this one adds some things that are not on the other one. Let me zoom in on it a little bit so you can see what it looks like. The first thing is that it has a huge battery inside, and they say you could stream for 4 hours on the battery alone, but you also have the option to plug in a USB-C port here, plug, and get more, let me give you a better view of it, get more power out of it. So you've got that. You've got an SD card slot here. There's no HDMI output on it though, but, and if we can get the camera going here, you'll see that you can actually use this with NDI, which we've talked about quite a bit here on the channel. It is a video protocol that NewTek, who makes my TriCaster, came up with, and it allows you to take 1080p video and you put it out on your network, and then OBS or a TriCaster or a vMix or any one of the other supported applications can grab it as a video input. So if you've ever used OBS before, it gives you the video just like something you plugged in directly. And as you'll see how this works in a minute, it's really neat in that you have some live switching capability. And we were playing around with it a little bit earlier I was with my daughter. And actually what it will do is it will detect all the faces that it can see, and it gives you a grid, and you can click on people to switch to. So you can get every face, and then if you're operating the show from your phone, you can switch between people. It's really cool how it works. So let me just get the app installed here real quick, and then we'll go from there. I had put it on my phone, and I forgot that my other phone is operating the Amazon stream, so I've got to jump over here. And I would have been shooting this review today had my network not been all messed up. So the good news is I got the network issues figured out, and we're back in business. So let me just get my app here installed, and I'll show you how this works. And I'll give you a nicer view of the camera here as we're playing with things. So yeah, this is a new camera. It's coming out, I believe, around April or so, and it'll be on Amazon when it releases. The other thing this has is a mic input. So the other camera, the other Mevo camera, it didn't have a mic input. You could input a mic through your smartphone, and then it would sync up. And it actually did a nice job of doing that. But now you are able to do that just by, let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find my link to the app that I have to install. What's nice about this is that you can plug in the microphone directly now, so you don't have to deal with the smartphone thing. The other thing they're going to be doing is switching over to a multi-camera option. So what you could get multiple versions of this camera and the old Mevo together and use it like that. So you could basically have a little switching thing going through your phone with multiple Mevo cameras. So that is how it's going to work. All right. So that is that. Nate D wonders if they're going to sell the brain scans. I don't think they're going to get enough detail to do much with those brain scans, but who knows. All right, let me grab the app here. I'm sorry for the delay on this, folks. I just have to get the driver installed, or the beta app installed, because this is coming out soon. All right, so let's click here to install the beta version. It's funny, I spent more time on that head thing than I thought I would. All right, hang on, folks. This thing's not cooperating. And just click here to install the beta version of the app. There we go. And we'll go on to my... Oh, wait a minute. Come on. Bear with me for one more second, folks. I'm sorry. Sometimes things just don't cooperate. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to roll the dice here, and we'll keep the app running in the background, and rather than fight with it, we will just go on my phone, and I will pick up the Amazon stream in a minute. Okay, so we're going to switch on the Muse here. Now I've got it plugged in, but I could easily just unplug it, so let's do that. And it's switching on right now. And once it comes on, it'll pick up. Now what I've done is I've configured my Mevo here to connect to my Wi-Fi. So, hang on one second, so it's got to boot up. And so once it comes on, it will detect it, and we'll be able to get going on that. And what I'm going to do here while we're waiting is get my phone into Do Not Disturb, because I'm getting phone calls and texts. Whenever I stream live is when everybody wants to look for me. Okay, so give it a second here. There we go. And if you don't have a network available, what you can do is connect up to you can connect directly to the camera itself. All right, so now we've got this image on screen here, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is just point it at myself here for a second. Now I'm going to put it into this grid mode. And watch what happens when I put my face in frame. See that? Isn't that cool? And watch what happens when I move my head around. So it'll follow me. And then if you've got multiple people in the shot with you, it'll follow everybody. So if you switch to me, as a full-up view, and I'll give you a view of this in a minute, it'll follow them around. And what you've got here, if we go over to the thing here, in the auto mode, so you can see I have it finding faces and have it going on live follow. And they have a mode here called autopilot where it actually will track who's talking. And this is all in the existing Mevo camera. So it's pretty cool. So everyone wants me to re-explain what we're doing here. So this is the Mevo camera. This is a live streaming camera, which means that you can stream out to many services, including YouTube and Twitch and a number of other services that support live streaming. And it's all self-contained too, which is really nice. And what this one has is the ability to also transmit over NDI. And of course, it's not working right this second, so I can't get it to work for you. But I can actually have this go right into OBS or any one of my other video devices that support that. And then, of course, it has the ability here to track faces. So you can see it's got a close-up. There it is. And then if I move my head around here, it will move back and forth. Now, this is a 1080p sensor. And when we do the full review, you'll get a better sense as to what the quality's like on it. But the resolution's a little lower than the original camera, which has a 4K sensor on it. But the price tag on this is going to be $299. So it's going to cost about $100 less than the current one and have better battery life. And the USB-C port here, they're going to sell a $100 Ethernet adapter that will support power over Ethernet. So you can run a bunch of PoE, an Ethernet cable out to these, and that will power it and deliver network back and forth, which is pretty cool. So that is some of the things that it can do. Another neat thing I like about it is that they have a tripod mount here, but if you take a coin and just undo it, you can put it on the top of a light post also, which is pretty cool. So that is pretty neat. Frank Castle says, is it 60 frames per second? That is a good question. I believe it is only 30. Let me jump through the settings here, though. We can see for sure. The one thing I'm kind of not digging about it is that they've got some deal with Vimeo. So you're just like hit with this ad in the settings that really minimizes your available. You have to kind of scroll past it to get to anything. But it's not all that bad. I mean, what they will charge you to do video overlays if you wanted to have titling up and stuff. And that's because you have to go to a server to do that first. So that's why they're doing that. Whiskey Runner 1, it's a $100 Ethernet adapter, but it's power over Ethernet, so that Ethernet adapter can power it with a PoE switch, so that's why it costs a little bit more. Yeah, so frame rate is 30, but it will do HEVC recording, so you get a more efficient recording there. I have found at the moment that most of the streaming services don't support an HEVC ingest yet, so bandwidth-wise, you're going to have to use H.264 on the upload until some of these services support it more. You got a couple other things here. You can mix the audio channels, so you can have USB and the built-in mics mixed together. You also have some audio gain if your mic's a little low. And then editing is the zoom amount that it will do. And you want to be careful with this because you're only dealing with a 1080p sensor, so you will see things not looking as sharp on that. And you got a couple other little settings there for audio and video. Mevo settings. Password. There's an action button, so I could push the button in the back and start recording, but you can have it do other things. So you can have it start streaming if you wanted to do that, for example. A couple other little things here, too. You can actually have the USB port power external devices, so that's pretty neat. You can also have it turn on automatically when you plug in a USB cable. And I like that they've got some of those features because those are things that you want for simplicity. Like you show up on site, just plug your cameras in and have them turn on. Like that's cool. So there's some things that I like about this that they're doing there. I've got it in NDI mode right now. So if I switch it off, we can see some of the other options that are available. So let me do that real quick. The NDI, so here's back to my problem that I was talking about earlier today. I upgraded all my stuff today, and in the course of doing so, discovered that my router doesn't like the new version of NDI, and everything was broken. So my TriCaster doesn't yet have NDI 4.0 on it, which is why this camera is not working. However, the NDI that it is broadcasting at is the HX compressed mode, so it'll work fine over Wi-Fi. We use the compressed mode quite a bit around the studio here, so it should be okay on Wi-Fi, but I think you'll probably want to go with that Ethernet. I am going to check and see if Ethernet, just plain old USB-C Ethernet adapters work on it, because that's one thing I do want to check out. All right, so let's look at streaming options now. So let's go over here. Oh, that's the recording library. This is, look at all these settings you got here. You got some pretty cool stuff. You got some adjustments you can do, white balance. You can get pretty granular here with some of these settings. It's like a backlight kind of thing. Cool. So you can play around with the lighting a little bit. Where is the streaming options here? Let's go over back to settings. Live streaming destinations. Now, you can only stream to one destination at a time. And you can't stream if you're in NDI mode. You have to stream through OBS or something. But you could set this up to go to like one of those Restream IOs or one of those other services. So you can do, I'm just not seeing it on here, you can do an RTMP connection, although I don't see it on here yet. Part of it too is that this is still in beta. So it may not have all the features just yet, but one of the options will be RTMP, so you can go live out to something manually if you want. That's it. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's not a very complicated product. And I'll show you, actually, what I could probably show you is on my MacBook here, how NDI works, because now it is working on my network. So I'm just going to load up the studio monitor, and I'll show you how kind of the concept of NDI. So here we've got, and I'll do a couple of things here. So let me get my laptop going, and I'll put it over here so you can see it with the camera. And let me just zoom out my other camera here. All right. So what I've got here is an app called the NewTek Studio Monitor, Video Monitor. And I'm just going to maximize it here. So up here, if I go to Connect, now you can see I've got a whole bunch of different things on this menu. So my TriCaster, of course, supports NDI. And I can have it give me the output of what I'm currently doing. And what's cool is that this stuff is just on my network. So I can send video signals anywhere. So for example, if I wanted to show camera 4, there you go. Here's my overhead view coming out of my TriCaster. So all 4 of my inbound cameras on the TriCaster, in addition to all of the mixes, which are the outputs as well, are all accessible over the network and very little latency. I could drop this right into OBS if I wanted to. It's awesome. So if we go over here to the Mevo, we'll just switch over. It'll take it a second, and the Mevo will hopefully pop up in a second here. They are still working on some of the NDI features, so it may take a little bit of time for it to work. Let's try it again. What I might do is just reboot the NDI app here. Let me just do that real quick, and we'll come back in. Apparently, this is like very early on the NDI, and it actually was well, when I finally got NDI working again today, it was working fine all day today. So we'll just give it a second here to catch up. And actually, I think, oh, I got to put it back into NDI mode, which is why it's not working. So let's go back to my phone, and we'll go over to settings here, and we'll go to NDI mode again. By the way, Skype supports NDI as well. And so if you are doing any kind, there we go, now it's working. If you're doing any kind of podcasting and stuff, you can now bring in your Skype sessions over NDI. And if you've got multiple callers, they all show up on their own feeds. So it's still early days here, but you can get a sense as to how this works now. So I can zoom the camera around, I can pinch to zoom out. And there's a lot of compression artifacts on here at the moment, but that'll improve over time. And then let me show you what else it can do. So if I point at my head here, it should, there we go. So I'm going to see that? It's on autopilot mode right now, so I'm talking and it just switched to me automatically. It follows you around. It's pretty slick. It looks a lot better on its stream. So what I'll probably do on the extras channel is do like a little live stream just to show everybody how it works. Because the NDI is still a little rough around the edges at the moment, but they're doing a lot of improvements on each iteration, so it'll get better. Usually when you're streaming with it, it looks, if you can see it on the screen here, it's nice and sharp on screen, and that's how it usually looks. I just can't stream it out right now because I'm already streaming. So that is how it works. And what's nice about this is that, so I don't know if Doug is still on the chat or not, but Doug and his wife run a news site here in Connecticut called CT News Junkie. And that, believe it or not, that's how, through Doug and Christine's effort there, that's how I got started doing a lot of this media stuff, was through their site. And Doug has the Mevo camera, and they bring it to press conferences at the state capitol because it's all self-contained. They can stream, with that camera and get some really good angles on it makes, what it does, it makes your streams look more interesting because it's not just a static view like you get out of a phone. The camera will zoom in and switch to different speakers. You have some ability to make it look more than what a normal stream would look like. And when you have that ability just to do a little bit different things, different camera views and stuff, I think it actually keeps viewers on longer, especially if it's going to zoom in and zoom out. The image changes. It's not just this static look. And I think that's what makes the Mevo kind of unique. Got some thank yous here, and I missed a ton of chats. So Clean397, Samuel, thank you for your super chat. I'll make sure I got everybody in here. And we had Sebas 2 on earlier as well, so thank you for your super chats there. Let me back up here and see what I'm missing. So yeah, so I think our Amazon stream has ended. So we can maybe cover a couple of topics and go from there. I'm just going to shut down all this stuff here. I got all these things running. I've been very disjointed this evening because I've had one of those crazy days. All right. So on the Amazon chat, Phoenix here is wondering how a 30-year-old Apple in the background is high tech. We've had this discussion before on the channel. The background is interesting because it either offends or it pleases. And what I have found is that it pleases more than offends. But I think you have to appreciate where we've come from, which is why I have all this stuff behind me there. It's really good stuff. Okay, let me go down to the end here. So Nate D wants to know, can you plug these things into Cat 5? Yes, so I'm going to test this when I do the full review because they are going to have a PoE Ethernet adapter for this. The other Mevo camera that's out on the market now has like a booster pack that includes a battery and an Ethernet jack as well. And if you can get Ethernet, by all means do that, because you'll have a much more reliable connection out. But if you've got a good Wi-Fi where you are, these things are not too demanding on the network, so they should be able to handle it fairly well. But yes, Cat 5 is doable. And I think if you do the multi-camera thing that they're talking about, this is an area where you're going to want to get that, because what will happen is that all these cameras will be streaming out to your phone, and you want to have a reliable connection so that you're not saturating that Wi-Fi. So that's important to look at there. All right, what else we got here? I got a lot of chats to go back through. And Frosty Winnipeg is here from Central Canada. Jerome is here. So Jerome was wondering about Stadia, why I haven't covered it. Well, here's why I haven't covered it, because it hasn't, what I was looking to do with it was to cover what it has, all the things that they had talked about as being features. And unfortunately, those features that I wanted to cover and look at are not available, and I don't want to start incurring a monthly fee for it, because I'm just not using it. And I think that's kind of indicative of some of the issues with Stadia. I think it's got a lot of potential. I think the image quality is really good on it. But I am very reluctant to get into it, because I'm going to be buying games again on another platform, and it's frustrating. What's also frustrating, though, is that some of the terms of service on some of the games that I do own restrict me from playing them on the new GeForce Now service. So those are things that, look, I think Stadia is going to be good for people that are looking for that experience, and there's going to be people that it will work very well for. My gripe with it is that I was really hoping that a lot of the stuff that they were talking about would be working by now, but right now it's still just Pixel phones for the mobile devices. There's no iOS support beyond buying the game, and actually most Android phones don't work with it either. The desktop experience is okay, but there's quirkiness with the controller as to when you can use it wireless versus connected to the computer with Bluetooth. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on with it. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'll have the free tier still that I can play around with, and if they finally get all the pieces together, I do want to cover it, because I don't think it's gotten a lot of, I don't think people have really covered all the good things about it, but right now I can't find many good things. And I think the GeForce Now service, the image quality may not be as good as what Google's doing, but the fact that I've got stuff that I can play on it, and it's from my existing stores, I think is great. So we'll see where that goes. I am very concerned, though, to see if more of these publishers follow Activision and Blizzard to restricting people from playing them. But what I did do, I may do a video about this. I went on and looked at the Battle.net licensing agreement, and they, back in 2018, so 2 years ago, had added, or maybe it's been there all along, a clause in their license that says you cannot run this from a cloud server. So that, that's out there. So I think, it was part of the license. They were not enforcing it, but perhaps they said to NVIDIA, like, hey, this is our license agreement and you're violating it. That's probably what happened with it. I don't agree with that. I think they're specifically doing that because of NVIDIA. But it's something that's been in their license for a while now. And I think when the service went live is when they said, okay, we're going to cut it off now and be done with it. But I hope others don't change the license. And that was the other thing. In looking at the license agreement, let me pull it up here. Let me get my input going. In looking at the license agreement, what struck me was the fact that, let me get my cable going here. Was that in their license, they said they can change the license anytime they want. So get this, like you could buy the game through one of these digital stores, and they could decide that you're not going to use it anymore on whatever you want to play it on. So they could say, you know what, we intended for you to run this game on a PC, but now that your Xbox can run it, we're going to restrict you from running it on an Xbox. So they could do that, because they can change the license anytime they want. So let me pull up the Battle.net End User License Agreement, the EULA as they call it. And I've got to go through now and look at all the other ones that are out there and see when they changed them, but they last changed this. I'll pull it up here once it's loaded. They last changed this on June 1st of 2018. And if we scroll down to cloud, so they have a list of limitations. And they'll actually, if you were cloud computing your Blizzard experience and they found out about it, they have the right in their license to revoke it, take it away from you. Isn't that crazy? So, I mean, some of this stuff makes sense. You don't want to have people cheating or using bots or hacks or anything. What's also interesting is that you can't host an esports competition if you are commercial or nonprofit. So think about this one. Like, let's say a local church wants to do an esports thing. They can't do it unless they get authorization from Blizzard before they go ahead and do it. If you do it without their permission, you're violating your license. Cloud computing. Use the platform, including a game, in connection with any unauthorized cloud computing services, cloud gaming service, or any software designed to enable the unauthorized streaming or transmission of game content from a third-party server to any device. And theoretically, under that clause, in-home game streaming could be considered an unauthorized use of their license. So you can see how things can start, kind of chipping away at your rights here. Now, if we look at, I'm just looking to see the section where they talk about changing the license whenever they want. And so, by the way, when you buy a game, quote unquote buy, you are not actually buying anything. You're paying for a license. You're paying for this. Okay, here it is. Alterations to the agreement. So Blizzard may create updated versions of this agreement as its business and the law evolve. And then if they make a new agreement, the existing one terminates immediately upon introduction of a new agreement. New agreements will be not applied retroactively. So this is what happens. And so what happens here is that you don't have a choice. They will give you the opportunity to review it. But if you reject the agreement, you can't use the game. So you're kicked off the platform. And there's no refund here. So this is, I'm going to make a video about this, I think, beyond just what I'm talking about here in the stream, because this is the license agreement. And so, they perhaps may want to have exclusivity over streaming. They may have concerns that you could have some massive, group of cloud servers that are cheating or something. But you know what? They have cheating in a separate thing. So I think it's interesting how they did all that. Nate D says Steam has it also in their EULA. That's interesting. Let's look for that real quick. So let's see, Steam EULA. And Steam's complicated because they only own the games that that they have published. So you'll have a EULA for the platform of Steam, but then the individual games from those publishers have a separate license that you're buying through Steam. So they could decide, here, let's find, this is the Steam subscriber agreement. So let's look here and see what we've got. I'm just looking for the word cloud. And this is the Steam subscriber agreement. I'm sorry, let me switch back over here. Oh, and by the way, on the Blizzard one, this is typical now of a lot of these. You also agree not to take them to court. So you would be agreeing to binding arbitration for your case. So you couldn't even sue them because you've agreed to the license. And I think they have a similar thing here. I don't see something about cloud. I'll have to really dig into this and see. But again, like every game has its own license on top of this. Let's see. I'm just going through all this to see what. Yeah. So here's the binding arbitration stuff. And Section 11 doesn't apply because if you're in Canada, they can't force you into binding arbitration, but here in the US they can. And by the way, this arbitration thing is nothing new. But what's interesting about this is the fees. So if you seek $10,000 or less, Valve agrees to promptly reimburse your filing fee and your share of any of the arbitration costs, including arbiter compensation, unless they claim that your claims were frivolous. But if you were going after them for more than $10,000, then they're going to split the fee. So actually, they're okay about that. They're going to help you pay for the, provided you weren't frivolously suing them. But who's to say what frivolous is, right? Yeah, so I have to look through this and see, because I know that, of course, Steam has their in-home game streaming, and I'm sure they'll probably want to have their own streaming service too. That's the one thing. Perhaps there's the good thing with the NVIDIA service is that there's no concern that you lose anything. So if all these publishers or these platforms say you can't stream us anymore, you're not out anything because you still can play the games on your computer. So there's that. And Jerome says and I think that's a really good point that he makes, that this is all the stuff that nobody reads, and that's exactly why they're so restrictive, is that nobody reads them. So great. But I think that comes back to that ownership question again, right? Is what do you own? And what's really funny about this whole thing is that it's, we often think about, well, if they revoke my right to the platform, if they revoke my license to the platform, everything I own goes away. But there's also this notion of all the things that you own not being able to, that you can't enjoy them perhaps the same way you did when you first bought it, right? So they could decide that you can't run that game on your handheld, but you can on your computer, right? Like that kind of stuff is intriguing to me as far as some of the implications of these licensing things. So, and Spuds is heading out, so thank you for stopping by. Yeah, this was a rather interesting one tonight, I think, right? The headset here. But, I'm going to play around with this a little bit more and see. I may take it to sleep with me tonight and see how it does. And we'll go from there. A couple more comments on the Amazon stream here. Waffle Eater likes my background. Yeah, so it's a mix of the two. What's funny, though, is that I've been looking. There's no accident back here. I've been looking at my demographics over time. And my channel demographics have been very much in the Gen Xer and up. So for a lot of people who are browsing around YouTube who are in my age bracket, the late millennial, Gen Xer to even to some of the baby boomers, this stuff has a lot of memories to them. And every day I get comments from folks like, oh, is that a ZX Spectrum back there? That's actually the American version of, not the Spectrum, the ZX whatever it was, 81 or 80 or whatever. But there's always something back there that people react to with nostalgia, so it's kind of fun. And Jerome Spud's been with me since 2014. Yeah, thanks for being with me that long, because that was when I first got going. It's been a long time, 6 years now. So it's been good, but things are moving in a good direction. We're doing a lot of cool stuff on Amazon now. We've got, just the viewership is growing. Everything's been a very good year, actually. So I've been very happy with how things have come about. It's funny though, Thursday night doesn't seem to be like the best night for streaming. I'm not getting a lot of comments from you all, so I may close up shop here in a few minutes, because now that everything is working, I can actually do some work tomorrow, for productive work, as opposed to trying to fix stuff again. So that was a rough day today, very rough. So I think I'm going to call it a night here, folks. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank our two super chatters, Sabus Tuan and Clean937, for their contributions. And perhaps the topic of a brain-sensing headband wasn't something people were into tonight, but I think it's rather interesting. So I'm going to keep playing with this, and I'll do a review at some point. I think I might do an extras channel thing on this. We'll see. And we'll take it from there. So everybody, I got to go because I need to make sure the children are asleep, and likely they're not because I'm hearing one of their footsteps upstairs. So I got to go assist my wife with that. But the good news is, for those of you who missed this, you can go on my live stream archive at Lon.TV/livestreams, and this is where all the live streams go, so you can watch this again. Terry, nice. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that, and I really do. So, all right, I'm going to call it quits. We'll be back, though. I'll probably pop on again over the weekend, so I will be back. We'll be doing more now. So I've had this. So just to give you an idea of my schedule. So we had CES. I came back. And then that was January. So I came back from CES, and then I was like sick for a week from that. And then I got better, and then I was busy. We did a bunch of streams in between. And then my wife, who just got back, my wife went to London for like 6 days. And so I was watching the kids, and I couldn't do anything. So I hustled like crazy to get a bunch of content up. So that was the Ryzen laptop week, was the week that she was gone, essentially. So I got a bunch of stuff up, and then I had hustled further and got most of this week's content done also. So it was good that it wasn't good that today had the problems, but I was able to do things because of the problems that I've been meaning to do for a while, namely upgrade the TriCaster software, get the NDI stuff going on everybody's machine, get the new router installed. So that's all happened in response to this crisis I had today. And so that's all set. And tomorrow I'm going to probably shoot the review of the Mevo if I can work out some of the beta kinks with it and get that going, because I think this is going to be of interest to streamers for sure, provided they get some of the NDI stuff worked out. Jerome wants to know if I'm going to E3. I am not going to go to E3. I will, I go to the stuff that's close to me. So if there's something in New York, I'll go. What's been interesting is that I don't always see. I don't see a lot of viewership on some of these shows. Like E3 is tough because everybody covers E3. And I guess everyone covers CES also, but there's so much to see at CES that I have a chance there. E3 is a little harder because a lot of it's exclusive stuff. And I do a lot of gaming, but not a lot of gaming, So that wouldn't be a tough one. I did Toy Fair 2 years ago. And I had a lot of fun at Toy Fair because there was some cool stuff there, but the viewership wasn't great. And I think because it was Toy Fair that a lot of viewers thought, oh, this is going to be a bunch of kids stuff. But there was actually some really cool stuff that I think adults might like too. So, all right. All right, I'm going to call it a night, everybody. And I will be back on again. And I think I might pop on tomorrow afternoon. We'll see how tomorrow's going. And then I'll definitely try to pop on over the weekend. And then I schedule these things with the Amazon stream every week. So by the wrap up on Monday night, we'll have an idea as to what we'll be doing for future scheduling. So more to come, folks. I'm going to go meditate and go to bed and put the kids to bed too. So that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to shut down the Amazon side here, and I'm going to shut down the main stream. But again, you'll be able to find this on the archive at Lon.TV/livestream. I'm going to put it in that playlist right now. So we'll see you all soon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate your viewership. See you in a little bit.